Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and today we're going to be talking about the first release of the Full Metal Alchemist characters, VCs, and equipment, what my initial thoughts on them are. So let's go ahead and dig in. So, interestingly enough, Edward Elric is apparently the free unit that everybody is going to be getting. This is really surprising to me. I was not expecting this when I was starting to look things up for this. So, very cool. We were talking about it on stream the other night. I think it's fantastic. He's going to be Wind Element. He is going to be, of course, the Full Metal Alchemist with Spellblade sub and Strider sub. And he is going to be primarily a striking unit. Now, interestingly, Alphonse, who's going to be coming out as well, is also a striking unit. So we're going to see some more striking units entering into the game here. And we've already seen a few come out on the JP side. So let's talk about Edward Elric, and let's talk about what he kind of brings to the table. First off, take a look at his TMR. It's going to grant regen, and then it's going to increase single target resistance for 25 if the target has regen on it. And it casts twice, has accuracy 8, agility 2, spirit 10, defense 4. Not the most excited about this. Not something that I'm going to get super crazy excited about. His mastery ability just gives him a flat attack 25% along with the standard win party-wide buffs. His dream ability does upgrade one of his skills and gives upwards of 10% slash and pierce resist, as well as AoE resistance 10. Now, if we do come in and take a look at his resistances, he is 5% weak to magic, he has 5% missile resistance, and he is 15% resistant to pierce and slash, which is going to be the trend with him. If we take a look at his support abilities, his primary support ability from his new-ish main job does give slash and pierce resistance 12%. That also increases HP 12%, which is very good. And then his secondary passive also gives him agility 12%, move 1. So that's in his primary kit. In his secondary kit, is his only source of defense penetration, which is going to be from Strider sub, and that's going to be defense pen 40. It'll also be accuracy 25. Or you can run Spellblade sub for magic resistance to kind of counteract his weakness there, and to counteract earth, and to give him some more earth resistance. So I think most situations you're probably going to be running the movement and the agility as well as the accuracy and defense penetration. But let's take a little bit more at his kit. One of the interesting aspects of him is going to be his counter. So he does have a counter with 3 range and range height 1, which is actually a 100% chance to hit, and it is a 30% chance proc rate. So we are going to see this proc quite a bit, and he's going to be very good against evasion. Of course, we want to talk about evasion because evasion is not crazy dominant. Maybe it is dominant, I would say, on the JP side with Yuffie. So of course, wind not being, the advantage element, but still being an element that may counteract or go up against fire, could be really good here for Edward to have this, particularly if everybody is going to be able to get him. Now, there are a couple of upgrades here which are pretty interesting. So I'm going to take a break here and I'm going to point out his upgraded ability here. Let's go ahead and translate this so that we can get the accurate name. Hardstone Pillar Transmutation. Now, this is the first time we've had an ability like this in game, which is very cool. You can select up to 2 targets within the target area. It's going to increase his defense penetration 30, has a 100% chance to hit, and is a 165% modifier. This is really cool. The fact that you can choose multiple targets to hit, multiple squares, and that you can choose potentially even opposite ends is very awesome. And I think this is a big mechanic that I hope we see more of, and I'm very excited to see in the game, because there's a lot of times where, in order to get an effect like this, you would normally just have to potentially have an AoE hit that hits multiple people. So having something like this is very cool. He does also have a mixture of strike and pierce in his kit as well. And his pierce attack is a 200% modifier, which is very cool. He does also have pierce in his sub kit as well. So if you're looking for maybe potentially capitalizing on either pierce weakness or striking weakness, he is going to have access to both. His secondary buff here is going to increase AoE resistance 15, slash and pierce resistance 25% for self, and AoE resistance for allies. So again, he's really going to be that anti-pierce resist, anti-slash resist. He's going to have the capability when he hits to dispel all buffs, dispel haste, dispel increased physical and magic damage. That's going to be in his primary buff, the Essence of Mechanical Armor. It's also going to grant him AP Restore and Protect, which is okay. And then for his job level 25, it's going to break barriers, has a nice wide range on it, range height 1, AoE height 1. And then in the future, I do believe this is his Dream Mastery upgrade, increased modifier by 60 if the target has AP regen on it, which is of course going to be absolutely devastating. Now, you're probably going to run Strider sub or Spellblade sub. The reason I would say that is if you run either of those subs, you're going to gain access to slashing. So he's a unit that's going to have access to slashing, striking, and piercing, like pretty well. And sub Strider gives you some really good chances to land some ranged attacks here, land slow. So you probably will be running this. You even have a Dispel to ignore fatal damage and a break physical barrier with Strider sub. So you'll probably be seeing him run Strider sub. You even have a 2-hit attack here, which could be good for wind slash chaining. You also have his LB, which lowers defense by 45. About the only thing we're missing here in Edward's kit is basically, depending on the situation, some more defense penetration or potentially some other form of either strike resistance penetration, pierce resistance penetration, etc., etc. But really, I mean, he is a pretty good for a free character. He is a very good unit. Now, to talk about Alphonse has been described to me as a lightning tank. Now, he is a lightning striking base tank with sub ninja and sub knight. I'm not the biggest fan of his TMR, but his ability is pretty good, so I can see myself using it. Increase attack 40% for allies, absorb 20% of the damage done for 3 turns for allies as well. So you're going with like a brawler build. If you're maybe running him with Esther, this could be very powerful. You know, look at his mastery. He gets defense 10, HP 10%, attack lightning, attack 15 for lightning allies, HP for lightning allies. His dream ability gives 15 single hit resistance, 200% chance physical damage for self. I'm imagining this is a almost like a reflex ability. I'm not sure, but still very cool. Whether it's a barrier, whether it's a reflex proc, who knows? It's still very exciting. His resistances are going to have 20% slash and 20% pierce, so following the same trend as Edward does. He's going to be 10% weak to striking, 10% resistance to missile, and 5% resistant to magic. Taking a look at his passives here, he has a lot more to choose from. Now, Whisper Thunder is going to give defense 12 and increased chance of being targeted 5. Now, you may not actually need this because one of your pieces of equipment actually gives... Oh my god. I'm mixing up Ed and Al in my head. It actually gives Alphonse chance to be targeted from his equipment. So you may not actually need to set this. You can probably get away with setting Shadow Running, right? Agility 12%, luck 12%. Or you could set something else like his other ability, Field Effect, which is attack 24%, jump 1. You also have Shikuchi, which you can set, or you have the Knight slash resistance penetration. And while slash resistance penetration sounds okay, I wouldn't really be too excited for that since he is a striking unit. So he's going to be using a lot of striking, a lot of piercing, unless you are running sub ninja, which he does get dream within a dream if you're doing like lightning slash chaining, or unless you're going sub knight for some type of sub knight build. An important note here as well, since we are talking about Alphonse's attack, his LB gives him a 50% attack bonus, which is really nice. It is a 2-hit as well. And it is a 67% chance to inflict slow. So he will be using that, and it is very good. His counter has a 30% chance to proc, and it's going to reduce the damage taken 30% for target, which is pretty good. If we take a look at his primary kit here, his upgraded ability, Alchemist Craftsmanship, 25% slash resistance for self, increase AoE resistance 20, and interestingly, increases elemental chain resistance to 80, and dispels protect when he attacks the opponents. Now, he does also have another buff, which gives him a physical barrier, as well as increases his defense penetration. So you almost have like two different buff modes for him here. You can either make him a really offensive, or you can make him a really defensive-oriented character. So he kind of has the capacity to do both. Interestingly, his Pierce attack does give him some really good defense and spirit. So it gives him an additional 30 defense and 30 spirit. Stone Dance, his other ability, breaks barrier. It has a chance to reduce counter chance 100. Again, short range though, so something to keep in mind. But it's going to decrease agility 25% and decrease attack 60%. Now his job level 25% ability is 100% chance hit, single target attack with dispel all debuffs for self, which is pretty cool. And then this gets a buff which restores HP 25% from his dream ability. So very good. He can kind of self heal. You know, that's okay. It's gonna be like, he's moderately good. What I am concerned about here is of course going to be his range and his capability to close in on his opponent. You're most definitely going to probably want to set Shikuchi. He could get both his offensive and his defensive buff off before he encounters the enemy, I imagine, but as a tank you kind of want him further ahead of your team. So I'm not like, he could be potentially really good. I'm kind of curious to see how his AI is going to play out and see if people tend to use him at all. His passive for Seeker of Truth has a chance to inflict blind, also stun on the enemy, which is a pretty good cross-shaped attack. He also has basically pummel. You're probably not going to be setting sub Seeker of Truth. You're probably, like I said, going to be setting sub Ninja or sub Knight. I would imagine sub Ninja just for the typeless thunder attack and potentially the dream within a dream here. I don't really see the other subs being really that crazy viable, especially since if you're in range to use Knight attacks, you're probably in range to use his striking attacks. So the biggest thing is going to be making him survive until you can encounter the opponent. Now, there was some pieces of gear that did come out with them, which do have some interesting effects here. So we do have the Alchemist's, gosh, what is this called? It's been so long. Ed Silver Watch, the Alchemist's watch. It does have some nice attack on it. So the AIM version has 36 attack, 24 accuracy. I imagine a lot of people are going to be going for this AIM version since you get a nice balance of attack and accuracy on here. But it does give decreased AP consumption 15 for Ed, wind attack 15 for Ed, and increased reaction block rate 30 for self, which is great. Keep in mind that reaction block rate was his 100% chance to hit on the opponent. It's also going to give 8% pierce and slash resistance. So pierce and slash, they're going to have a ton of resistances for, particularly Ed. In terms of Alphonse, we do of course have Al's Chalk Case, which is going to have access to an AIM version as well. I imagine most people will be running the shield version with Alphonse, and you probably will be running this piece of gear. So for Al, this piece of gear gives attack 30%, an increased chance of being targeted 5, in addition to, for everybody, HP 15% and defense and spirit debuff reduction when HP is over 70% for self. So pretty good, I would say. These are pretty good pieces of gear, and they do complement the characters, and they are going to give them some nice survivability here. Taking a look at the VC as well, it's going to give the individual unit slash resistance 10 and pierce resistance 10. So again, we're stacking that pierce, we're stacking that slash resistance. And then it's going to give party-wide agility 18%, single target resistance 16%, and strike attack 35%. What's interesting here is this is going to be a very job-specific type of situation. And this is actually a vision card that can affect a lot of good characters and a good spread. So when you look at kind of like magic casters and you're like, why are magic casters on there? When you look at Dragoons, you know, why are Dragoons on there? A lot of Dragoons are, you know, particularly the Ice Dragoons, right? They have synergy with striking abilities. Like Ice has natural synergy with striking. So you're going to see a lot of striking ice units benefit from this. You're also going to see, you know, situations where you have classes like Golbez or others that are sub-scholared that have striking based abilities, like Geo-Absorption, right? Which can also benefit from this. So there are some interesting things here in terms of being able to cross-class hybridize with this vision card, and it is pretty exciting. I really think they're onto something here, and I'm really excited to see what happens with Roy next week and what happens with Bradley. It seems like Bradley's Earth. That's what people have said and shared, but we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, everybody, let me know how excited you are down in the description, and I will catch you guys all later.